Before you accept that job offer, these are the questions that you need to ask yourself to make sure you're making the right move for your career and you're not walking into a trap. And do not take a job offer just to make more money, unless it's the last job in your career and you're planning on retiring afterwards. And these are the main areas or things that you should be thinking about before you accept that job offer: the role itself, the company, your future boss, the risks, and the pay. First, here are some questions you need to ask yourself about the job itself before you accept the offer. First, does this job set you up or help you get to the job that you want 1 or 2 positions from now? Or does this job actually help you gain new skills? Or are you simply just getting paid a little bit more to do the exact same job that you have right now, but at a different company? Or if you're looking to switch careers, does this job help you gain new skills or build up your resume so that you can close that gap and actually make a career switch to the dream job that you want? If you answer no to any of these questions, then this might not be the right job for you to take to help you set yourself up for your long-term career plan. Now, when we think about the job itself, you also want to make sure that you're being set up for success. So you should ask yourself, are the expectations of what it takes to be good in this role very clear? Are you actually being set up for success when you join the company? So for example, if you're in sales, are they giving you the worst sales territory when you're joining this company? If you're an engineer, are they going to be assigning you to work on the best and most popular product at the company? Or are you going to be assigned to some brand new untested product? Or even worse, what if they're going to make you work on their worst product that actually has the potential of being canceled? Okay, so next you need to ask yourself questions about the company itself. First, ask yourself, what's the viability of this company? How long are they going to be around in the industry? And ask yourself, what is their position in the market? Are they the market leader? Are they in the middle? Or are they one of the lowest performing companies in the Magic Quadrant? How is this company doing compared to their competitors right now? Are they on the rise? Are they on the fall? Are they staying steady? Do they have a new plan to actually engage the market and improve their position? Has this company had layoffs recently? And you also want to think about the market timing and the current situation of the company that you're joining. I once had a friend during COVID who was given a job offer to work at Peloton. Now, during the pandemic, Peloton was booming in sales. In fact, the Peloton bikes were selling for significantly more used than they were brand new because there was a huge demand and very little supply. And so Peloton was hiring like crazy, and they were also paying above market. But even though Peloton was super hot in the market right now, their stock was going crazy and they were hiring a bunch, I advised him not to take that job offer because if you just look at the current state of the market, Peloton was only successful because of COVID and the pandemic. And once gyms and everything opened back up, they would not be as popular or successful. And lo and behold, you fast forward 6 months and Peloton is doing mass layoffs and their stock has plummeted. So you're going to want to think about all these different factors in the company position before you accept an offer. Next, you should ask yourself, are you subscribed to this CareerShakers YouTube channel? Because I post weekly free content that will help you accelerate your career and get the job of your dreams. All right, third, you should be asking yourself questions about your boss, which is, in my opinion, the most important part of a new job, because your boss can make or break your experience and make your job great or make your job super miserable. Remember, company culture doesn't matter if your boss doesn't follow the company culture and creates a bad environment. So ask yourself, is your potential boss going to be a true advocate for you? Do they have enough political power in the company to help you get a promotion if you want one? Did you ask to speak with one of your potential new teammates and ask them what they think about your boss? And does your future boss's managerial style match with your personality? Some bosses can be super technical because they were in this industry for a long time and they used to be in your role, but sometimes that lends them to be a little bit more of a micromanager. Or does it seem like this future boss of yours is going to be a little bit more on the flexible side and kind of give you the autonomy to do whatever it is that you want and solve problems on your own? How involved does this potential boss want to be in your day-to-day work? Next, you should be asking yourself questions to assess the risk of the job in the company in which you would be joining. For example, are you joining a startup or are you joining a well-established company? When you're joining a company, what is the specific project that you're working on? How risky is it? Is this one of their flagship products or one of their projects that's been going on for a long time? Is this something that the company is trying for the very first time? What's the risk level? You should ask yourself, how likely is it for this startup to be around 3, 5, 10 years from now? What's the likelihood that this startup actually goes public? And when you think about the project that you're working on within that overall company, what's the risk that this project gets canceled? How invested is the company in the success of this project and this team? Now, of course, every risk comes with some reward. So you should also be asking yourself, is that reward or that potential payoff worth the risk in which you are taking? And the best way to answer that is to think about what your alternatives are in the worst case scenario. So for example, if you join a startup, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is that the startup doesn't go IPO and it doesn't get acquired and the startup startup fails and there's a bunch of layoffs. So in those worst case scenarios, what's the risk of you not being able to get a job if you took a job at this startup? Were you able to actually increase your scope of work? Were you able to actually get new skills? Are you now more marketable based on your resume, even though the company didn't pan out financially? Did you burn any bridges when you left your last company? Could you just simply go back to the company you were at before and not have to worry about not being able to get a job for a while? What's the job market look like right now? Like, if the startup were to fail in 6 months, could you easily go get another job? These are the types of risks that you need to calculate for to make sure that the reward and payoff is worth it. And by the way, keep in mind about 90% of startups do fail. Next, you obviously should be thinking about your pay when you're thinking about taking a new job. Now, I never advise someone to take a pay cut unless you're joining a startup and you feel like there is actual viability for them to go public or get acquired so you can have that big payday 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now. And as a general rule of thumb, I never believe that someone should take a new job simply to get a pay raise. If you're not going to be learning new skills or improving your resume in some form or fashion, then it's not worth taking the exact same job just at a different company. Also, I'll give you a little bit of an insight. The companies that tend to pay the most in every single industry typically don't have the best work-life balance because they are under-resourced. That's why they're willing to pay people so much more than some of their competitors. It's because you will be working more. So before you accept your job offer, you should try to get a sense of the workload. What's the average number of hours that people tend to work in the week? And then try to calculate your hourly rate to see if you're actually being paid more. So in my case, for example, I used to do management consulting. I was literally working 70 to 80 hours a week. Sure, I had a pretty high base salary, but when I switched into recruiting, I did take a pay cut if you look at my base salary overall. However, if you look at my hourly rate, I was definitely making way more money, even though I technically took a pay cut on my base salary. Now, my next point is definitely controversial, so I want to hear what you think down in the comments, but I do not think you need to care about or love the company or product that you choose to work on when you accept a new job. Yes, you heard it from me. It's totally fine to go work for a company that you are not passionate about. You can think about it as a nice to have, but it is not a requirement. You should be saying yes to all of the other questions that I've already asked in this video. For example, let's say you're interviewing with NVIDIA. Do you have to love GPUs? Do you have to love graphics processing units? No, but I bet you love money, and if you look at their stock price and how they treat their companies based on their company reviews, I think you would love working at NVIDIA right now. And as a caveat, I do want to point out that you don't have to love or be passionate about the product or the service or the company, but you should make sure that the company has a sound business model and will actually be able to make money so they don't fail. All right, so those are all the questions that you need to ask yourself before you accept a job offer to make sure that you're making the right career move. But what are some questions that I didn't cover? Why don't you also put those down in the comments and then I can append those so that people can see them too. Thank you all for watching, and don't be afraid to accept that new job offer and shake things up.